As food allergy parents, it's heartbreaking to hear about tragedies caused by anaphylaxis. It feels personal, like we've lost one of our own. Our hearts break, and it's hard to shake the sadness that comes with knowing such a loss could have been prevented. It's okay to feel this way. Of course, it's human. But while we support the families affected and work through our own emotions, we also need to be mindful of how those feelings can shift into fear and anxiety, especially for our own loved ones. Today, we're going to talk about how to manage those emotions, stay grounded, and focus on staying strong together as a community. I'll give you 3 important stats that will hopefully reduce your anxiety, plus I'll give you positive examples of things we've done as a food allergy family that may seem scary, but have turned out well and are completely doable with the right preparation. I hope this episode decreases your anxiety and empowers you and your child. Let's get to it. Hey, Food Allergy Mama. If you're here, you've likely experienced the scary and lonely food allergy diagnosis with your child. Unfortunately, food allergy parents aren't taught how to navigate the food allergy lifestyle, and it's easy to feel alone and discouraged sometimes. But I'm here to show you that food allergy life doesn't have to feel restrictive, scary, or isolated. I'm Karina, and I'm a 17-year food allergy mom and food allergy coach at Friendly Pantry Consulting. I specialize in making food allergy life safer and less worrisome for food allergy families like yours. I'm not perfect, but over 17 years, I've learned a lot the hard way, and I'm sharing the secrets and resources you won't hear anywhere else that will help you feel confident living with food allergies faster and easier than I did. From introducing allergens, travel, navigating school, and educating friends and family, this podcast will give you the essential tips and strategies you need to help your food allergy child and family thrive. Welcome to the show. First, I want to be clear that I'm not a doctor or psychologist, but I am an experienced food allergy mom who takes food allergies seriously and sticks to evidence-based facts. It's so hard as a food allergy parent, or maybe even as someone with food allergies, to hear that there's been a tragic event due to food allergies and anaphylaxis. Our hearts just break. It's just so needless and sad. And it's okay to feel this way and do what we can as a community to support the family and our own mental health as well. Each and every one of us is valuable and loved, and it's important to stand together to help each other and make positive change. But sometimes those feelings of care and concern change into fear and anxiety for our own kids and family members with food allergies. I mean, if it can happen to someone else, it can happen to our kids too, right? Well, not exactly. Here's what I want you to remember. I've got 3 points. The first one is that there's a quiet majority thriving every day. So there are 33 million Americans living with food allergies, and that's a lot of people. Now, I'm using American stats here for simplicity, but if you come from another country, there is a lot of people living with food allergies in your country as well. And I hope that you can kind of get the idea of what I'm saying here. But for every one tragic event due to anaphylaxis, there are still 32,999,999 people who did not have a tragic event that day and month and year. That's a lot of people who are doing fine. For me, thinking about that huge number really helps me to put things into perspective. And I think it helps me to realize that yes, one tragedy is one tragedy too many, but it's helpful to put things into perspective. The second thing I want to talk about is that the chances of a tragic event due to anaphylaxis is low. The numbers are hard to nail down exactly, but I've seen data that says it's similar to a lightning strike, or actually way less than a tragedy from a car accident. So let's think about that for a second and really let it sink in. The chances of tragedy from anaphylaxis is way less than a tragedy from a car accident. This is important because most of us drive every day and almost everywhere. We don't let the tragedy due to a car accident stop us from driving. Instead, I argue that we use safety precautions to make driving safer. So if we can use safety precautions with driving, we can also learn to take food allergy precautions to make eating safer as well. So with driving, we wear a seatbelt and we follow traffic laws and other things. With food allergies, we can carry 2 epinephrine injectors. We can ensure that we know what we're eating at all times because that saves lives as well. Of course, that's an oversimplification, and there's more we need to do to keep safe, but I'm just trying to give you a point here is that there are ways to keep safe. If you're interested in seeing the numbers about the tragedies from a car accident and food allergies, I'm going to post those numbers or links to the sources in the show notes so that you can see how I came up with it. Now, the third thing I want to talk about is that anaphylaxis does not instantly mean tragedy. Now, this is something I constantly worried about as a newer food allergy mom. But I know now that if anaphylaxis occurs, it does not instantly mean tragedy. Yes, it is scary, but stats show that if we epi first and epi fast and carry 2 epinephrine injectors, we can feel confident that our food allergy loved ones will be fine. And that doesn't consider all those precautions that I talked about where we make things safer before we even get to that point, like reading the labels, cleaning the surfaces, not eating things when we don't know what's in them, etc. So I think it's important to remember that there are layers to safety. And before we ever get to tragedy, we have to actually peel back several of those layers. So keep that in mind. And it's a perspective thing again to remember that there's a lot of things that we have to go through before we actually get to tragedy. Okay, so next I want to talk about a few things that we have done personally that were hard and felt really scary at the time. But I want you to feel encouraged with these things because with the right preparation and safety measures, I believe that food allergy families can do anything. And yes, it does take extra prep. It does take extra management, but that is all worth it. And it can even be less taxing if you learn good strategies. So for every one of these challenges I'm going to talk about, I actually have a workshop where I give you the best safety increasing, time saving strategies that we have learned over many, many years. I'm going to list the links to the workshops in the show notes, but here are a few things that we've done that I hope will encourage you because you know that someone with food allergies has done it safely. The first one is that we have been through 11 years of school plus kindergarten and 2 years of preschool without an allergic reaction. Now imagine all those class parties, those field trips, camps, the substitute teachers that we've been through. And yes, there were difficult times and challenges, but I had to go the extra mile to get people to understand. And I had to do a lot of advocating, not to mention baking. But we have not had a reaction in all this time. And I really think that that is something to celebrate. And I hope it encourages you because I know that school can be something that is super scary for food allergy parents. The second thing I want to encourage you with is that we have traveled all over the world safely. So this includes Mexico, Spain, Ireland, the UK, France, all over Canada, all over the US, and of course, we've been lucky to go to Disneyland, Disney World, and even Disneyland Paris as well. So with that, we have done many, many transatlantic, trans-Pacific flights and across land too. So we have done so much research and planning in this area, but it has all paid off and we have been able to do it smoothly without a reaction. So that is possible, friends. The third thing I want to encourage you with is that we have introduced new foods safely and done several oral food challenges over the years. So my daughter is in OIT and currently working on peanut and walnut, which means she needs to do an updose of each of her treatment allergens, probably every 6 months to a year for the last 7 years or so. And she has had to do a lot of oral food challenges before that, which allowed her to clear pistachios, almonds, macadamia nut, Brazil nut, and more. So these things can be done and they can be done safely. And that is when you work with your medical provider and when they look at all the data and all the things to do with your child, they can make an informed decision as to whether an oral food challenge will be safe. So I want you to know that we have done many of them and I want that to encourage you today. The fourth thing I want to talk about is that we have dined out safely for many years. Again, we do a lot of research and asking questions, and we have had to leave restaurants that are not safe. So that is a possibility. It's not always going to be easy, like for any of these things, but when we have eaten at restaurants, we haven't had a reaction. So I want you to know that it can be done, and there are restaurants out there who take food allergies seriously. So it's important for us as a community even to find them and to use them, because we want them to thrive just like we want to thrive. And when we find those restaurants, it is truly amazing to have a spot to go for not only you as a family, but to meet friends and to have some place that your child can go and meet their friends as they get older. So this is something that can be done, and I want you to feel encouraged. So which challenge are you hoping to overcome in your life? If you're thinking about helping your child grow into a strong, resilient food allergy adult who is able to manage their allergy and keep themselves safe, I recommend that you educate yourself and then model good habits for your child. Living in fear is not empowering. Instead, we want to show our kids how to live safely so that they aren't plagued by fear, but instead they take the right precautions to live well. I hope that this episode has helped ease the fear that comes when we hear about a tragic anaphylactic event. As always, I encourage you to talk to your board-certified allergist to see what your child's individual risks might be to further ease your mind. If you found this episode helpful, please leave a 5-star review, because that is the only way I know that you like the podcast. It also helps other food allergy families find the podcast as well, so it can help them too. Remember, I'm sending you encouragement today. Thanks for listening, and bye for now. Before you go, Mama, if you love this episode and want deeper support, head over to friendlypantry.com to see how we can partner together to keep your food allergy child safer and worry less. There's no need for wasting time searching all over Instagram, TikTok, and the web to get the practical knowledge you need for your family. While you're there, grab your free Food Allergy Kids Empowerment Guide or the newly diagnosed checklist today. Topics are not medical advice and are the opinions, views, and property of Friendly Pantry Consulting Incorporated. All rights reserved. Always contact your board-certified allergist, immunologist for health advice.